Looking to salvage the series finale with Seattle, and Bob, Zach Greinke gets the baseball.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a rough go for Zach over his last couple of starts. He's winless in his last 4, but if you ever needed somebody to go out there and be the ace, stop a losing streak, it's Zach Greinke.
He's up against the ASU Sun Devil Mike Leake, a winning record this year for the Mariners, but Leake winless in his last 9 starts.
You know, these guys are very similar in style. They're both very athletic.
D-backs
they swing the bat extremely well.
Fo
Of course, Zach has had a much better career up to this point than Mike Leake, but should be an interesting matchup here today.
Greinke and Leake, the D-backs and the Mariners on Fox Sports Arizona. D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. By the NASCAR Can-Am 500 at ISM Raceway, November 9th, 10th, and 11th. And by your Valley Honda dealers, where you'll get more standard features for less money. Is brought to you by Jack in the Box. This season, D-backs home runs score free Jumbo Jacks only at Jack in the Box. By Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. By First Watch, the Daytime Cafe. And by Gila River Hotels and Casinos. The card by Gila River Casinos earns you rewards 10 times faster than ever before. Sign up for the card today. A somber Sunday here at Chase Field following the death yesterday of Arizona Senator John McCain. It's the D-backs and the Mariners. We are set for the opening pitch, but first, the voice of Chase Field, Mr. Chuck Drago.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we ask that you please rise and please remove your hats. Ladies and gentlemen, the Arizona community and Arizona Diamondbacks family have lost one of our own as Senator John McCain has passed away. McCain served his country honorably his entire life, first as a brave member of the U.S. Armed Forces, and later representing the great state of Arizona in the United States Senate. Senator McCain was a lifelong baseball fan and was a fixture here at Chase Field, always rooting for his beloved D-backs. At this time, the Seattle Mariners and Arizona Diamondbacks ask that you join us in a moment of silence for an Arizona legend and true American hero, Senator John McCain. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the field as we honor the United States of America and pay tribute to our veterans, active duty, and retired men and women of our armed services. The Arizona Diamondbacks and the Seattle Mariners invite you to join in the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner, performed by cantor Seth Ettinger from the congregation Beth Israel.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Chase Field in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to Diamondbacks baseball, presented by Sanderson Ford. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly, Jody Jackson with you. Oscar Soria and Rodrigo Lopez on our Spanish language broadcast right now on Fox Sports Arizona Plus. Torey Lovullo's Diamondbacks 13 over 500 and tied with the Rockies for the National League West Division lead. The Dodgers only 2.5 games back. Right now Colorado is already trailing St. Louis 7-1. They're in the third. Dodgers hosting the Padres later this afternoon. D-backs today trying to avoid a sweep at the hands of the Seattle Mariners, and here is their batting order, brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers.
Right at the front of the line, Mitch Haniger's had a big series here against his former team. He'll be out in center field. Robinson Cano back at first base this afternoon. Gene Segura at shortstop. Denard Span, big homer in the game last night. He'll be out in left field. Kyle Seager at third base. Ben Gamble in right field. Former D-back Chris Herman doing the catching today. Dee Gordon will be at second base, and right-hander Mike Leake on the mound.
And for the D-backs, your Ram Trucks starting pitcher, the right-hander Zach Greinke, pitching on a full week's rest today and looking for his first win since July 27th. It's been a while here.
Yeah, he's pitched some good games in the meantime, but his last couple have been a little sketchy. 6 1/3 against the Rangers, gave up 4 runs in that game. 6 innings last time out against the Padres, gave up 3 runs.
E.D. Marshall Jewelers gives us a look around the diamond at the D-backs defense.
John Jay getting the start in right field this afternoon against a right-handed pitcher. A.J. Pollock out in center. David Peralta over in left. It'll be Eduardo Escobar and Ketel Marte on the left side of the infield this afternoon. Daniel Descalso and Paul Goldschmidt on the right side. Jeff Mathis, as usual, behind the plate for right-hander Zach Greinke.
Jeremy Rehak is our plate umpire today, calling the balls and strikes. The crew chief Jerry Meals, there he is down at first base. Ed Hickox is our second base umpire, and Gabe Morales is at third. Time bomb for your Valley Honda dealers. Key to the game.
Well, it's just too easy. Mike Leake on the mound for the Mariners. You need to plug the leak.
He's an ASU Sun Devil. He and Zach Greinke, kind of similar style pitchers, as you mentioned at the top of the show. The Mariners looking for what would be their 8th series sweep this year, after sweeping a 4-game set from the Astros in Houston earlier this month. Mitch Haniger, the former D-back who's had a big series, will lead it off. Seattle 18 over 500, 5.5 back in the AL West. They're only 4 games out of a wild card spot. And Haniger hits one up the middle. Ketel Marte. The throw pulls Goldie off the bag, and he can't make the tag, says Jerry Meals.
Boy, the fact that Mitch Haniger pulled that left hand behind his back probably got him that safe call down there at first base.
So Haniger has been on base, it seems, the entire series. He's aboard to start us off. No challenge from Torey Lovullo. And the hitter is Robinson Cano. They put a base hit up on the board. Cano 289 and 5 home runs. Yeah, okay. That trickles away from Goldie, but not far enough away for Haniger to advance. Dodgers and Padres just underway in LA. Mentioned a moment ago the Rockies, who beat up on St. Louis last night, trail 7-1 at Coors Field. They're in the third. They have since changed that scoring. E6 on the throw for Marte at shortstop. So no base hit for Haniger. And now Cano steps in. Robbie Cano singled twice last night. He's got 3 hits in the series. Both teams wearing their Players Weekend jerseys. Colorful uniform combos, the nicknames on the back, the dedication patches on the sleeves. Zach Greinke going with his nickname of Greinke, just like he did last year. Changeup misses down low. It's 2-0. So right away, a runner aboard, behind in the count to Robbie Cano. Haniger holds, and the fastball's in there for a strike. 2-1. Greinke today trying to avoid a winless August. He is 0-3 in 4 starts this month. He's certainly not pitched badly in August. In Zach's 4 starts this month, the D-backs have scored a total of just 10 runs. So much of the problem has been run support. That one's fouled away.
And we saw Robbie Cano at first base earlier in this series, and it was quite the adventure. I mean, I know that Scott Servais wants to get his bat back in the lineup since coming off his suspension. He's a second baseman by trade, but they're trying him over there at first base from time to time, and it did not look pretty.
I think this is a potential problem for Seattle, Bob. I mean, Dee Gordon's been terrific at second base since they moved him in from center field. They've got Healy who can play first. He's a nice young hitter. There's a changeup. Mathis hangs on to the foul tip, and Greinke gets his first strikeout.
Shortstop, number 2,
Maybe up just a little bit higher than Zach wanted that pitch, but got the desired result. A foul tip right into the mid of Jeff Mathis for the first out.
Gene Segura, fourth in the American League with that .316 batting average. He's got 9 home runs. Fastball right there for a strike. Here's Segura in the American League batting race. Everybody behind just dingers. You got to figure either Martinez or Mookie Betts is going to be the AL MVP at this point, don't you?
Yeah, some Indians fans may vote for Jose Martinez. Yeah. He's having an unbelievable, or Jose Ramirez rather, having an unbelievable season for the Tribe.
JD's played a lot more games in the outfield than I thought he might. That may take that argument out of the MVP voting equation for some of the voters who don't like to vote for a DH. Zach Greinke, 1 strikeout so far against Robinson Cano. He has now passed Dennis Eckersley into sole possession of 44th place on the all-time list. Sliders are striking at 0-2. We saw Zach pass Sandy Koufax in his last start. And now he passes Dennis Eckersley, another Hall of Famer.
Should be a pick attempt at first base here. Usually when you see that thumb pop out. Just checking on Haniger over there.
Haniger will go from time to time. 7 for 9 in stolen base attempts this year. We're talking about Mitch Haniger. Some of the Seattle folks is maybe a guy who might win an MVP down the road the way he's progressing. Former Diamondback, now 27 years old, Mitch Haniger. There's that slow Ephus pitch. Goldie in foul ground. That has been a tremendous put-away pitch as of late for Zach Greinke. He has ended a lot of at-bats with that slow curveball.
Yeah, earlier this season it was more of a novelty pitch. He might only show it once, maybe twice in a ball game, and got oohs and ahs from the crowd and a lot of laughs from his teammates. But he's been using it more and more as we've gotten deeper and deeper into the season. And as you said, it's become a really good weapon for him.
Denard Span, 281 now with 10 home runs. He's in left field today. D-backs put the overshift on the first base side against D-Span, who shows bunt and fouls it off. StatCast AI powered by AWS. Ketel Marte, the shortstop today on the first base side of second. Escobar all by himself midway between second and third. Span homered in the 10th inning last night off Jake Diekman. That was the run that proved to be the difference in Seattle's win. They won it 4-3. He has singled, doubled, and homered in the series. He's got a couple of RBIs. And this was Span versus Diekman, 1 out in the 10th, tied at 3, and he unties it.
I mentioned it post game last night. I've watched Denard Span since he came to the major leagues, and he's featuring a quicker swing now than I have ever seen him have at the plate. Really able to wait a long time before making up his mind whether or not to swing, and there was no doubt about that home run to right center field last night.
There was some talk after the game last night that Span had actually hit that home run with the bat already broken. And he punches this one into left center. Haniger's on the run. Peralta over to cut it off. Haniger stops at third. A long single for Denard Span. The Mariners' first hit off Zach Greinke. Boy, Peralta and Pollock had to hustle out there deep to left center to get to that one and keep Mitch Haniger at third base.
Not to mention keeping Denard Span at first, keep at least one of those guys out of scoring position here for Kyle Seager.
Here's another guy that had a key hit in last night's game. Seager at 221 with 20 home runs. First and third for Greinke, 2 outs. Seager's only hit in the series is 2-out 2-run double that tied last night's game in the 9th inning against Brad Boxberger. After Segura had walked and Nelson Cruz had singled to put the tying runs aboard. There's a changeup. This was Seager in the 9th last night.
Well, it sure looked like it was going to go foul off the bat. He was way out in front, really rolled his top hand over, but somehow it stayed fair down that right field line.
And we saw Romine running for Cruz, sliding home with a tying run. And then Span hit the homer in the 10th, and Seattle wound up winning it 4-3. As Diaz got save number 50 on the year. That is hit into right field, and Seattle jumps ahead again. Span heading for third, and it's 1-0 Mariners.
Change up. You may recall the one he struck out Robinson Cano in a similar location, up and out over the plate. Cano fouled it into Jeff Mathis mitt. This time Seager squares it up, line drive through that right side, and puts the Mariners on the board.
This is the way things went for Zach Greinke in his previous start last weekend at San Diego, and then settled in nicely. Ben Gamel is the right fielder today. Starts him off with that slow curve for a strike. Gamel 292 and a homer. He struck out as a pinch hitter last night. He had a pinch hit double in Friday's series opener. Spans at third. Seager's at first. 2 outs. A run is in. Fastball misses in.
It's only the 3rd pitch that's missed the strike zone so far for Zach Greinke. He fell behind Robinson Cano 2-0 before coming back to strike him out. And now a 0-1 fastball just off that inside corner.
Another slow curveball. Greinke in his start last Sunday at San Diego allowed base hits to 3 of the Padres' first 4 batters, including a long home run by Hunter Renfroe. But then, as he so often seems to, he was almost unhittable from that point on. He followed the Renfroe homer by retiring 14 of the next 15 he faced. So we've had a similar start here today. And it's 2-2 on Gamel. Bounce to second. Descalso's there. Seattle strikes first. Diamondbacks coming up against Mike Lee. An early lead for your round truck starting pitcher for Seattle, the right-hander Mike Leake, the ASU Sun Devil. 8-7, a 3.90 ERA. Leake had to be scratched from his last start last Tuesday because of an illness, but is back to take the ball today.
He's got the full complement of pitches out there: a sinker, a cutter, a four-seamer, a slider, a changeup, occasional curveball. He'll just kind of see what's working on a given day. We made the comparison to Zach Greinke. Both very athletic, both swing the bat well, both have been used as pinch hitters and pitch runners in their career, and both invent things out there on the mound if necessary.
Valley Chevy Dealers has the D-backs lineup today.
Right fielder John Jay leading it off. A.J. Pollock will follow out in center field. David Peralta in left field. Paul Goldschmidt will be at first base with Eduardo Escobar across the diamond at third. Daniel Descalso getting the start at second base today. Ketel Marte will be at shortstop. Jeff Mathis catching, and Zach Greinke on the mound.
John Jay leads it off. 279, 3 home runs. Difficult stretch coming up for the Diamondbacks. The rest days start to go away. 3 in San Francisco starting tomorrow, 4 at Dodger Stadium starting Thursday. And so Torrey wanted to get a couple of guys off their feet today and get some extra left-hand bats in there against Leake. So Jay is in right field and Descalso's at second. Nick Ahmed gets the day off along with Steven Souza Jr. Jay hits a dribbler to first. Cano will take it himself. Here's a look at the Mariners defense, brought to you by E.D. Marshall Jewelers.
Mitch Haniger out in center field, flanked by Denard Span in left, Ben Gamble in right. Kyle Seager will be at third base, Gene Segura at short, Dee Gordon at second, Robbie Cano over at first base with Chris Herman, the Herminator, doing the catching today for right-hander Mike Leake.
A.J. Pollock, 281 on the year. He's got 16 home runs. A.J. had a couple of hits last night, including that big 2-run single in the 7th that gave the D-backs a 3-1 lead at that point. Chafin and Hirano got 3 outs in the 8th inning, and then problems in the 9th and 10th against Seattle. 0-2. Mike Leake, we mentioned, scheduled to start for the Mariners last Tuesday against Houston, but was scratched with an illness less than 2 hours before game time. He got sick suddenly, and that left Seattle scrambling for a starting pitcher. Reliever Nick Vincent came on and made his first ever start. They didn't have a lot of choice. A.J. caught looking at a cutter. First strikeout for Mike Leake.
Yeah, Leake's one of those guys, if you talk to opposing hitters, they'll go back to the dugout and say nothing is straight. Sinker dives down and into a righty. That cutter we just saw to A.J. Pollock with some lateral movement away from a right-handed hitter. He can change speeds on all of his pitches. Just one of those comfortable caller guys. Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of them lately.
They've pitched very well in this series. David Peralta looks at that sinker from Leake. Freight train at 305, 25 home runs. Gordon plays well back in the outfield grass at second. Segura almost behind the bag up the middle. Did he go? No, he didn't. Gabe Morales. It's 1-1. Peralta, a couple of singles in the series. David riding a 5-game hitting streak. Here's a look at the Seattle defensive alignment. Here's another sinker. Leake, as always, features that pitch. That's the one he throws most often. It's right around 89, 90 miles an hour with some sink to it. And as Bob mentioned, follows that up with his cut fastball. He rarely, if ever, throws a straight four-seamer. And his best pitch lately has been that changeup. He's throwing that changeup more than ever this year and getting more strikes with it than ever before. Breaking ball, 2-2. Leake has not won a game since June 23rd, 0-3 in his last 9 starts. Goldie on deck, but he's not pitched badly over that span. An ERA right at 3.5. Sinker up and in. Full count 3-2. Usually you think of the sinker, Bob, as a pitch right at the knees or below, but Leake will move his around, in and out, up and down. And that was it right there. Drops off the table. 2 strikeouts and a 1-2-3 first. D-backs trail it 1-0.
The catcher for the Mariners, set to lead off this inning. And Chris, of course, a member of the Diamondbacks family over the last couple of years and as recently as in spring training. And I saw his wife Shelby here on Friday night and we chatted. She said it has been very tough to leave this family called the Diamondbacks. You see, Shelby had complications with her pregnancy. Their baby boy Crew, who's almost a year old, he'll be a year in October. You see, while she was going through bed rest, nearly 20 weeks of bed rest, it was really the Diamondbacks and especially Paul Goldschmidt's wife Amy, who took the lead, that helped Shelby out while she was on bed rest, made sure she had food, made sure the house was clean, or just kept her company. She said, we really miss it here in Arizona.
Yeah, it's a real family here, Jody. Thanks. It's good to see Herm back anyway. Spent spring training this year with the D-backs, released just before the season started and signed with the Mariners shortly afterward. They used to play all over the field for the Diamondbacks, with the Mariners have been primarily the backup catcher.
I still recall the game in Coors Field when he started in center field.
How about that? Huh?
Did a great job.
Yeah, he was boy, he played both corner outfield spots, some first base, caught here and there. He used to be Robbie Ray's personal catcher. And a couple of years ago, that start in center, that was a proud day. I think we had 2 catchers and a shortstop starting in the outfield in Denver.
Yeah, you're right.
Really good athlete, Chris Herman, out of Tomball, Texas, and the U. University of Miami. D. Gordon on deck. Greinke goes to a full count, 3-2. And he walks Herman to start the second. Well, 4 of the first 7 Seattle batters have reached against Greinke. Brings up D. Gordon. Batting .272. He's homered twice. Escobar in on the grass at third. Here comes Goldie as well. A fastball's a strike, 0-1. Gordon with a pair of hits in the series. He doubled Friday. He's also struck out 4 times. Punched out 3 times in last night's ball game.
And a bunt attempt is not totally out of the question, even though you've got the pitcher in the on deck circle. We've talked about Mike Leake and how well he handles the bat.
Mathis, the back pick, and Herman is back in time.
I wouldn't expect a sacrifice bunt attempt from D. Gordon, but certainly with his speed and his ability to beat out a bunt, he might try to bunt his way on base and at worst move Chris Herman into scoring position for his pitcher.
Well, there's good news up on the scoreboard. The Cardinals now lead at Colorado 10-2. They're in the 4th inning, and the Padres have grabbed the early lead in LA. It's 1-0 San Diego in the 2nd against Hyunjin Ryu. Robbie Erlin on the mound for San Diego. See the end of that Dodger game last night? It was nuts. They had a power blackout. The place went pitch dark in extra innings. And then they wound up winning the game on a walk-off bloop that just kind of dropped in. And they came back to beat San Diego. So the Dodgers only 2.5 back.
I got to listen to Charlie Steiner's call on the radio on the way home last night.
I heard that myself. And the Dodgers win. Why are we doing double bumps? Yeah, boy, the Cardinals just got pounded, and I think Colorado scored 17 runs in the 8th inning last night, something like that. But now it's St. Louis returning the favor today with that 10-2 lead. There goes Herman, and that one's fouled off. Greinke back-to-back 3-2 counts to open up this 2nd inning. Herman on the run again. This is tapped to second. No chance to turn 2. As Herman kind of hurdled the baseball that time. And he moves into second, 1 out.
Yeah, Descalso gave a look to second base as Herman jumped over that ground ball. He took a quick look out of the right side of his eye to see if they might still have a play on Herman at second base, but he gets down on his belly in safely. Now in scoring position for the number 9 hitter Mike Leake.
Herm the Worm, he didn't drop to the ground that time. He went airborne. And as you can see, Mike Leake, a good hitting pitcher, 6 career home runs. And he's been a National League guy before with the Giants and the Cardinals.
Obviously, I hope he doesn't do anything too good today, but I've always been a fan of Mike Leake. I heard some stories about him. He's a guy that went straight from college to the big leagues. Yeah, no minor league time whatsoever. And occasionally a guy that does that will bring an attitude with him. But that was not the case with Mike Leake. I've talked to clubbies around the Cactus League, around the major leagues. This is a guy as a rookie, first-round pick, goes straight to the big leagues, and he used to hang around after the workouts in spring training and help the clubbies hang laundry and polish shoes just to hang around the ballpark a little bit longer.
Yeah, he was the 8th overall pick by the Reds in the 09 draft out of ASU.
You know, we talk a lot about Gonzo and how when we travel around the league with Gonzo, parking lot attendants and security guards and ushers and usherettes, everybody knows Gonzo. He's made friends all over baseball, and Mike Leake is right out of that same mold.
Well, Mathis and Greinke trying to get things started here. It's been a sketchy beginning for Greinke. What do you like? What's working? What's not working? How do you want to alter the game plan we came up with based on the pitches that are working so far? That's usually the process with these two.
If he had to single one thing out in the early going, the changeup's been up in the zone quite a bit, and they've been hit hard when he's left them up there around the belt, with the exception of the strike 3 to Robinson Cano. But he's left some straight changeups up in the zone in the early going.
Good hard slider, and Leake strikes out. Second strikeout for Greinke.
Yeah, the other side of the coin is the slider looks much better today than we've seen it in his last few outings.
It's funny, that slider is kind of slowly starting to almost replace that changeup. Slider was the big pitch last year. Changeup was the primary out pitch the first half of this season. But as ever with Zach, things constantly evolve. Here's Haniger, who reached on a Marte throwing error in the first inning and scored the Seattle run. A rare throwing error by the D-backs lately. Got to be careful with Haniger. He's homered in 3 straight games. He's hit safely in 7 straight. That's out of play. He has spent the last 15 games as their leadoff man. And as the leadoff hitter, he's batting .375. So that was an inspired move by Scott Service, the Mariners manager. That's really worked out. A lot of teams are doing that more and more often, taking their best hitter and plugging him into that leadoff spot. Here's the slow curve for a strike, 1-2. Just got a piece of the ephus. Boy, that curveball, we've seen it a whole bunch so far from Greinke. He keeps it 1-0 Seattle. Brought to you by T-Mobile. The Cardinals, Tyler O'Neill in Colorado, and there it goes. St. Louis leads the Rockies 10-2. It's only the bottom of the 4th, though, in Denver. Meanwhile, at Dodger Stadium, Franmil Reyes, Bob, another home run for the Padres.
Wow, potential beat the streak candidate. Franmil Reyes with a long home run in the ball game last night, touches another one off today to straightaway center.
So good news for D-backs fans. Brought to you by T-Mobile, built for baseball. Goldie leads off the 2nd against Mike Leake. Paul Goldschmidt, 294. He's got 29 home runs. He is 8th in the majors with that 944 OPS. Goldie singled to lead off the 10th inning last night. That's his only hit in the series so far. There's that good Leake changeup we talked about in the previous half inning. That pitch has really worked for him lately. 1-2. And it's going to reach the seats and out of play.
In an odd way, Mike Leake reminds me of Don Sutton.
How so?
I've told the story in the past. I faced Don Sutton when he was pitching with the Brewers over in Sun City in spring training. And it was late in camp, so he was pitching deep into the ball game. I had 3 at-bats against Don Sutton that day. I struck out all 3 times, I think on 9 or 10 pitches. And I swear they were 9 or 10 different pitches. Mike Leake gives you that same look. A sinker low, a sinker high, a cutter away, a curveball away, a backdoor slider, a front door slider. He just gives you so many different looks with the pitches that he has that you feel like he must be throwing 100 different pitches out there.
Well, he was outstanding in his last start. Allowed just 2 hits, worked 8 scoreless innings at Oakland, which was a big game for the Mariners. They're trailing the A's in the wild card race. And he strikes out Goldie with that sinker. 3 consecutive strikeouts for Mike Leake.
Third baseman, number 14.
Making it look easy in the early going. Diamondbacks are going to have to really, as Torrey likes to say, have a fist fight with Mike Leake today, the way he's commanding the ball in the early going.
And Eduardo Escobar bats 5th today, 277 and 19 home runs. Escobar has 1 hit in the series. This was it, the first inning last night against Wade LeBlanc.
Line drive that just does sneak up into that front row. Nice going, sir.
There's a high fly ball to right field. Gamble's out there. 5 up, 5 down for Mike Leake. Brings up Daniel Descalso.
Number 3, Daniel Descalso.
Descalso has struck out in a couple of pinch hit at bats in this series. In there today, as we mentioned, to get an extra left-hand bat in there. Gordon back on the outfield grass at second, and that one's down the line at first for Cano. Couple of 1, 2, 3 innings for Mike Leake. He leads it 1-0. Get fans to play along in our D-backs 50-50 charity raffle. It's presented by the Arizona Lottery, and you can do so from home along with all of us at the ballpark. Your chance to win half the pot and help the kids in our community. Tickets can be purchased online during every D-backs home game on Fox Sports Arizona at dbacks.com/50/50 raffle. And stay tuned for the post-game show when they reveal a winning number. Robbie Cano leads off the third. Jackpot already over $13,000 here today. Another big crowd on hand. Good day to play the 50-50. Cano struck out his first time up against Zach Greinke. I feel a little better in the booth than I did earlier. There was a lot of stress, tension. I don't want to. Yes, I will use the word confrontation. Security did not have to be called. I was proud of you for maintaining your poise and control when our producer Brad the Big Dog Weimer came up here wearing his Michigan football shirt. Of course, Torey Lovello and the Diamondbacks like to have dress-up themes for some of the flights. We fly to San Francisco after the game today, and the theme for the flight today is wear your favorite team jersey. Torey will have a David Johnson Cardinals jersey on the flight. We've seen different guys wearing different shirts hanging up in the lockers. John Jay has a Frank Gore Dolphins football jersey. Here's Robbie Cano, lifts this one up to Peralta in left, but Brad Weimer representing Michigan, you representing the Ohio State University, and Brad came up into the booth wearing his football shirt, and I thought you did a nice job countering that.
Well, I was just glad to see a Michigan jersey in an upright position. I'm so used to seeing them laying down on the field with footprints up their back, so it was, you know, kind of a moment there we had.
Gene Segura. That fastball a little low, gets the strike call though.
Well, you see what Candy brought today? He's got his old Indians jersey.
He's his favorite player.
Yeah, I guess so.
Got his actual Candiati tribe jersey next to us. Wild swing and a slider, and it's 0-2.
What did you settle on? I know you were conflicted. You had a couple different directions you could go. Probably the Don Money is what I'm guessing. You're going to go with the Don Money. I
brought a Don Money. I grew up, Don Money was my favorite baseball player, but I feel like I got to represent the 617 and go Steve Grogan. There's a slow roller to shortstop. They retire Segura. All right, see, this is my dilemma now. This is the classic Steve Grogan old school Patriots jersey, the real Patriots look.
See that Grogan jersey.
Now look at that, is a sweet uni right there. Yeah, but I got this great Don Money Brewers jersey. He was my favorite player growing up as a kid.
Well, on Players Weekend, you could just say that was your nickname when you were growing up. They used to call you Money.
It was never my nickname. My wife calls me that, but that's another story. But there it is. It's a tough choice. I don't know what to do. I think I got to go old school Pat the Patriot Steve Grogan. No disrespect to Tommy.
I'm telling Don Money.
I do not have the Steve Grogan neck roll, though. I could probably use that. Here's the darn span. It's going to be interesting to see what different guys have. Leo Gilmartin working D-backs radio along with the Governor Greg Schulte just to our right. Has his ASU Pat Tillman jersey on. So Leo will be representing. There's Leo in his Pat Tillman jersey.
Always a good choice.
That was a
studying some notes, apparently. Very busy over there. Right back to Zach. And Greinke settles in nicely. He's now retired 6 in a row, but trails it 1-0. Seattle Mariners 1-0. Lots of cool caps in the team shot, but don't forget D-backs U of A night September 6th, and you can get a custom D-backs U of A cap and a discount baseline reserve ticket for just $25 with our special event ticket pack. This is the U of A cap with the U of A logo on the side, D-backs sort of logo with U of A colors on it, and that is coming up September 6th. The cap, a baseline reserve ticket for just $25 with our special event ticket pack. Visit dbacks.com/Wildcats. Ketel Marte leads off the third against Mike Leake and slices one to Span in left, and he makes a running grab. 7 up, 7 down for Leake to start.
Well, those Wildcats fans are going to really have to represent, because the Sun Devil fans showed up in big numbers for ASU night.
Yeah, they really did. They saw a lot of Sun Devil colors all over the ballpark that day. Jeff Mathis. I noticed that speaking of the jersey themed flight, the great Oscar Soria, Rodrigo Lopez working our Spanish language broadcast. There's Rodrigo with his Team Mexico jersey on, and Oscar has his Hermosillo jersey. He does their games in the Winter League, representing. Jeff Mathis fouls that one off. 1-2.
I told you my original idea for the team jersey was Ranger boats. Way back in the day when I bought a bass boat, they actually threw in some gear. A hat said Team Ranger on it, and the shirt like the professional fishermen wear with patches all over it. Had my name on it, but it was in storage.
Along with the boat.
Yeah.
Mathis is the first D-back base runner. Well, this was the confrontation of which we referenced earlier. Bob Brenly representing the Ohio State University, and our producer on the left, Brad the Big Dog Weimer, representing is that Michigan State? No, that's of course the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry, which was at an all-time fever pitch in our booth before the game today.
Just a coincidence that we both happen to have on number 2.
That looked like one of those magazine covers. The game program. Zach Greinke. Greinke knocks one into right. Mathis had to hang on just to be sure, and they overthrow the cutoff. Couple of one-out singles for the Diamondbacks bring up John Jay.
That little sinker working its way back toward the middle of the plate. Zach does what Zach does, just lines it out there into right field. Back-to-back base hits here in the third inning with 1 out, setting it up to the top of the order.
John Jay in the leadoff spot. He grounded out his first time up today. There's that changeup. He steals strike 1. Jay singled as a pinch hitter Friday in the series opener. He was hit by a pitch last night. He's got that unique ability. Base hit. That one trickles through into center. They'll stop Mathis, and they're loaded for Pollock. 3 consecutive singles with 1 out.
A little cutter that stays up over the heart of the plate that time. John Jay sends it right back where it came from. Mathis had to hold up momentarily to make sure that line drive got down on the grass in center field. No chance for Tony Parashika to send him on home.
Well, the D-backs first 7 batters went down quietly against Leake, but ever since then 3 singles, and now here's AJ, who struck out looking his first time up. He's got Mathis at third, Greinke at second, and Jay at first.
Three hits on the last 7 pitches from Mike Leake.
Getting aggressive. Now the second time through the batting order for Lee. And AJ takes a cut at a cutter on the first pitch. AJ coming off a 2-hit night last night. Padres, by the way, have added to their lead in LA. It's now 2-0 San Diego in the third. Rockies at home. They trail the Cardinals 10-2. They're in the sixth. Breaking ball. That's not a pitch that Leake throws a whole bunch, but that was a good one right there, and he jumps ahead 0-2.
Well, this is an area the Diamondbacks needed to improve upon after the first half of the season. They were a 154 hitting team with the bases loaded before the All-Star break.
There's a drive deep to center. Haniger's there. Mathis at third. Here he comes. Greinke will tag up as well. And we're tied at 1. David Peralta struck out to end the first. Two down, runners in the corners. Oh, and changeup. Dropping down and away from the left-hand batter. 0-1. Little tapper gets by Leake. Peralta busting it up the line. Segura can't pick it up. Greinke scores, and it's 2-1 Diamondbacks.
Well, just a well-placed ground ball smothered to that right side. Segura cuts in front. Looked like he had the easier play, but just doesn't come up with it cleanly here, coming over from his shortstop position. Off the thumb of the glove. And Zach Greinke comes in to score.
And a big play by Greinke to tag up second to third on the fly ball by Pollock. And here's Goldie. 4 hits for the Diamondbacks, all in this inning against Mike Leake. Goldie struck out his first time up. John Jay, the runner at second. David Peralta's at first. 2 outs and 2 runs in. Goldie! Way back! Gone! That's number 30! His second consecutive 30 home run season and the 4th of his career. 5-1 D-backs.
Oh man, that two-seamer comes right back onto the barrel of the bat for Goldie. No doubt about this one. He ended up in Friday's Front Row Restaurant, where I'm pretty sure
That's a free jumbo jack tomorrow at Jack in the Box with a purchase of a large drink. 5 runs, tacos in the third, and here is Eduardo Escobar. So we got you some early tacos there, baby.
I'm pretty sure you can get tacos up there in Friday's Front Row Grill.
This Ketel Marte bobblehead coming up next month. 5-1 Diamondbacks. Escobar slices one near the D-back dugout, and Seager can't quite get there.
I was just thinking to myself, partner, the 2 runs in the inning felt like an offensive outburst for the Diamondbacks, but we were hoping for more. Boy, did Goldie provide that time.
That ball was hammered. Escobar punches one down the line. That's a fair ball in the corner. He's headed for second. And the major league leader in doubles has his 44th.
Diamondbacks much more aggressive against Mike Leake the second time through the order. Little slider coming back toward the center of the strike zone once again. Escobar bangs it down into that right field corner. Boy, Goldie's home run to left field, 432 feet, came off the bat at 109 miles an hour.
And the D-backs, John McCain certainly here in spirit. On the minds of all of us, his beloved Diamondbacks. His jersey hanging in the D-back dugout. Honored before the game today. A tremendous job by Todd Walsh. A tribute video, a moment of silence for the late Senator who passed away yesterday. He loved this baseball team.
Boy, and he would love this kind of an inning. 6 hits for the Diamondbacks on the last 14 pitches that Mike Leake has thrown.
9th man to bat in the third is Descalso, who grounded out his first time up today. Boy, this just came out of nowhere, Bob. Leake 7 up, 7 down, as easy as you please, and suddenly it's 5-1 Diamondbacks. Well, this is something that Zach Greinke could certainly use. In his 4 starts this month prior to today, the Diamondbacks had scored a total of just 10 runs. But Greinke now holding a 5-1 lead. There's another sinker up, and it's 1-2 on Descalso. And there's that changeup, but the Diamondbacks send 9 men to the plate in the third. 5 score, highlighted by Paul Goldschmidt, his 30th home run. It's 5-1 Diamondbacks. 30 home run season. D-backs lead Seattle 5-1. Time now for Valley Toyota dealers. Let's go places. We're on an airplane after this one for 3 games in San Francisco starting tomorrow night, and then 4 at Dodger Stadium in LA. A critical NL West road trip as Kyle Seager leads off the Seattle 4th against Zach Greinke, who has retired the last 6 batters he's faced. D-backs overload the first base side against Seager, who had an RBI single in the first. Cardinals now lead the Rockies 12-2 at Coors Field. They're in the 6th inning. 8 of the 9 St. Louis starters has at least 1 RBI in that game, including the pitcher. Dodgers still trailing the Padres 2-0. They're in the 4th.
You see that kind of score at Coors Field, and you would expect there to be a lot of home runs, but the one we showed you earlier by Tyler O'Neill, the only bomb in that game.
So those big outfield gaps and those little bloops that drop in that tend to get you in that ballpark. Fastballs is striking. It's 2-2. Seager, Gamble, and Herman 5, 6, and 7 for the Mariners. Greinke has settled in nicely after a bumpy first. A lot of offense all over the major leagues, not just the Cardinals. 12-2 at Colorado. The Nationals beat the Mets today 16-0. How are we looking? Indians lead at Kansas City 12-5.
The Mets had trouble bunching their 3 hits enough to make a run.
There's a changeup for the strikeout. That's the 3rd for Greinke. Yeah, the Reds lost at Wrigley 9-0. Cubs scored 9 times. There's Ben Gamble, the right fielder. Boy, Greinke more and more going to that slow curveball. It used to be just kind of a trick pitch, maybe once, twice a game. But we're starting to see it more and more often. Follows it up with a fastball, jumps ahead 0-2. Greinke, it seems, Bob, either throws that slow eephus curve in the first pitch of an at-bat or to finish off a hitter with 2 strikes. And there it is right there. On an 0-2 pitch, the eephus at 68 gets the strikeout, and Zach has retired 8 straight.
When you think about Zach Greinke, I mean, his changeup is not really an off-speed pitch, so he's using this curve more and more to guys that are just sitting on hard stuff. The fastball, the changeup, the hard slider. That curveball becomes his best off-speed pitch, and especially against an aggressive swinging lineup, it works well.
60 pitches, 41 strikes. Here's Chris Herman, who walked his first time up today.
Pitch by pitch brought to you by Nationwide Vision Center's eye on the game.
Again, starts the hitter off with that eephus away that time. 1-0 on Herm. Chris Herman, 2 years with the Diamondbacks after spending his first 4 major league seasons with Minnesota. Chris with the D-backs last year had a career high 10 homers. He was out for a while this summer with a right oblique strain. Came back in the middle of June. Fastball is low. 2 balls and a strike.
You think about a series like this against an American League opponent, but because Chris Herman is in the other dugout, and Chris Herman was in the Diamondbacks dugout last year, I'm sure all the signs rather have been tweaked or changed just to make sure that Chris Herman doesn't see anything familiar.
Well, Herman has been up twice and walked twice, and that snaps a stretch of 8 straight set down by Greinke. Brings up D. Gordon. So treating Herman at least in one sense with kid gloves here. They'll work with Gordon, who grounded out his first time up.
Or Herm has seen enough of Zach Greinke to know that if you're patient, he's going to nibble around the edges, and if you get some calls from the home plate umpire, you might be able to reach via the base on balls.
He's done it twice. Escobar feet on the grass at third. Goldie holding Herman on the bag at first. There's a fastball for a strike. 0-1. Gordon's offensive game has kind of dried up this month. He's hitting 167 in August. On a slow curveball, that one was pretty good, but Jeremy Rehak didn't like it. It's a ball and a strike. Boy, it's amazing how he can loop that pitch in there and put it right on the corner. Big, slow, loopy curveball like that, just dots it. Here's another one, and Gordon drives it deep the other way. The freight train runs it down. Bottom 4, D-backs lead the Mariners 5-1. I've always said there is no more sure-footed base runner in the major leagues than Chris Herman. When Herman is rounding the bag, there is never a problem, except here.
Sniper.
That's why they call him Herm the Worm. That was on that last fly ball out to end the top half of the inning, and Chris said, "Hey, what do you want from me?"
He's telling the Diamondbacks dugout, I was just going so fast.
That's right.
Control myself.
That catcher speed. Ketel Marte will lead off the 4th.
How about this? Ketel Marte has not swung and missed in his last 16 plate appearances.
We mentioned that the other night. He's been taking a lot of walks. He's walked twice in the series. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Walked and scored, in fact, in the 7th inning last night. Able to check on that changeup. No, he wasn't, says Gabe Morales, and it's 0-2.
Well, I guess we have to call that a swing and a miss.
Yeah. Way to go. Stay hot.
My bad.
Send that one back to the staff. All right, to Cano. Well, Mathis was the one that got the 5-run third started, a 1-out single. And here he comes. It's appropriate with Mike Leake wearing that single-digit pitcher number that these uniforms are designed to look like Little League uniforms. They want the kids to identify with the big leaguers. And so often in a Little League game, you might see a pitcher with a single-digit number. Kind of just feels right.
Usually, if there's 12 players on the team, the uniform numbers are 1 through 12.
That's right. There's a curveball. They'll break that out occasionally. 0-2. Two balls and 2 strikes on the D-backs catcher. Zach Greinke on deck. Mathis is 2 for 2.
You can receive 15% off at the Chase Field Team Shop when you use the card by Gila River Casinos.
Interesting dynamic between the 2 starting pitchers today, Zach Greinke and Mike Leake. They are very good friends. They've known each other for a while now through different acquaintances and so forth. But head to head, it's been very lopsided. Mike Leake versus Zach Greinke. Greinke is 0 for 5. But Leake versus Greinke, when Leake is the hitter, is 3 for 5. Switch that. It says hitting right there. That's it. We just got an opening on your staff.
We have an application
We
back there.
got an application right there. Oh boy.
I just love how aware Zach Greinke is, and Mike Leake for that matter as well. When he's at the plate, Zach took a little peek down to third base to see where Kyle Seager was. He took a look down to first to see where Robbie Cano was. All the while taking his waggle up there at the plate. Just checking around the defense. Where are the holes? If he pitches me outside, I'm going to try to shoot that hole on the right side of the field.
Drops that slider in there. He's got 2 different breaking balls, Mike Leake. We've seen a lot of the curve balls so far. The occasional slider. That was a good one right there. It's 1 and 2. This guy's got everything. That sinker, cutter, changeup, curveball, slider. Punch down the line and foul.
Boy, more than anything else for Zach Greinke, offensively, he likes the ball up. Whether it's in over the middle of the plate or away, anything up there around the letters, maybe even a little bit higher, he's going to take a hack at it.
Mathis, the 1-out base runner at first. Poke to third. Seager. They get 1 and 2. So Leake snuffs out the rally, but through 4, it's 5-1 Diamondbacks.
Time to take a look at this day in baseball history, brought to you by Geico. We go back to 04 when Ichiro becomes the only player to collect 200 or more hits in each of his first 4 seasons in the league.
Now Ichiro was here this weekend in uniform. We saw him take batting practice, still launching home runs into the right field seats. He's got this sort of nebulous role with the Mariners where he kind of hangs around. He might be in the dugout wearing his Bobby Valentine mustache and glasses. You just never know when Ichiro's going to show up.
Yeah, we had a look at him earlier in the ball game. Top of the first inning, he was still in uniform in the dugout. We were hoping to catch a sight of Ichiro on our This Day in Baseball history, but probably up in the clubhouse right now watching on television.
Boy, that dude has had a different Mariners jacket and tie combo for all 3 games of the series. He had a bright blue and yellow one on the other night.
You're right.
Every girl's crazy about a sharp dressed man. Mike Leake will start it off in the 5th inning. D-backs lead the Mariners 5-1. They have out hit Seattle 7-2. We're told that is a Mariners super fan, Dave Palm.
Okay.
Who travels around and watches his beloved M's. I guess that's he's kind of like their Marlins man, only with not as good seats.
Better wardrobe.
Clearly. We got a big birthday shout out, BB. We gotta get to. This is top priority. Top priority. One of the best people in this organization, and an organization full of tremendous people, is Mark Cloth, who has been the home clubhouse security guard since the late 50s. And Mark, who had his wife cook up some tremendous brownies for us today. Now, it's Mark's birthday today. He recently vacationed, and there he is water skiing in Minnesota.
How about that? Do it, Mark.
Now, we won't show you the next run because that's when he fell down and ripped his hamstring in 2 pieces.
Oh, my.
But we've got good news today. Dr. Wazlewski took a look. Mark will not need surgery. So he will be able to finish out the season with us. Nice job, Mark. One of the great people in this terrific organization. So happy birthday to Mark down there. If you see him in front of the home clubhouse, say hi. Haniger drives one deep to center. And that one's off the wall. Mitch Haniger at it again.
Pretty much a center cut fastball, and Haniger can hit that. We know, we've seen him launch some balls in this series. Man, is he red hot.
He's got 5 hits in the series now, including a couple of home runs. Now a double is 28th of the year. And here's Robbie Cano. You ever do any water skiing over there in Coshocton with your bass boat?
Oh, no, not with the bass boat, but yeah, a long time ago when I was in high school, my brother-in-law had a boat and used to take us out on the lake skiing from time to time.
That's good times,
Yeah.
water skiing. Got to be careful though.
Blow a hammy. That's
yeah,
not good.
He was looking good there for a while, Mark, and then not so much. But the good news today, so Mark will be able to finish out the season with us.
As soon as he can, we'll get him out on a rehab assignment.
Yes, good
securing
call.
the clubhouse down in Reno, and as soon as he's ready to come back, we'll get him back up here.
He was up today without his crutches, which was good to see. So that's a good birthday present for him. Cano has struck out and flied out today. He's got 3 hits in the series. Slow roller up the line for Goldie. Haniger in at third, 2 outs. And the batter is Gene Segura. Segura is 0 for 2. Well, he was on base 4 times last night, Gene Segura. A single, a double. He walked twice, stole a base, scored a run. That's the guy we saw throughout the 2016 season. His 1 season as a Diamondback. Oh, that fastball was in under the hands, but he gets the call from Jeremy Rehak, 0-1. Segura has been hot lately, last 15 games, batting .375.
Yeah, another good this day in baseball history partner. We should all be thankful for this at Brooklyn's Ebbets Field. NBC televised the first major league game in history. There was a doubleheader between the Reds, I believe, and the Dodgers. They split the doubleheader on experimental station W2XBS.
So it just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Sure does.
On the ground to shortstop. Marte is there, and Greinke strands that one out double. It stays 5-1 D-backs.
by the score of 5-1. And we've told you it's Players Weekend, so we're seeing the players really show their personalities. And for John Jay, guys, it's all about the U. We even touched on this really all weekend long. No one represents Miami quite like John Jay. First of all, his nickname 305J, that's the Miami area code. Frank Gore, he watched him play in high school, also a native of Miami. Frank Gore jersey, because Gore is now a Miami Dolphin. I was talking to John Jay, and he said, look, I go to all the football games in the fall that I can. Of course, once baseball's over, I go to the basketball games. His mom is an elementary school teacher at Sunny Isles Elementary, so he's just, I can really appreciate it. Of course, I was born in South Florida. I went to the U myself,
here we
but
go.
Nobody reps like John Jay. I'm kind of embarrassed. I need to step up my game.
I can't believe you don't have a pair of those shoes.
I know. I need to get with him. Maybe he can hook me up with some gear.
Oh, look at that. This has the U on the heel. That's pretty cool.
He's got the U on the knob of the bat. He's pretty much everything you can imagine. If he can wear it out here, which this weekend he can wear a little bit more, he's got it, guys.
Yeah, he's got to have a guy, Jody, that he can hook you up with. John Jay leads off the bottom of the fifth against Mike Leake. Right to Cano at first. Jody Jackson, of course, also a University of Miami alum. That brings up AJ, who has struck out and knocked in a run with a fly ball. Part of that 5-run D-backs third against Mike Leake. Of course, AJ is a Golden Domer. He went to Notre Dame. I expect to see a Fighting Irish jersey.
Pretty good chance.
Although knowing AJ, also a decent chance we see Tom Brady. Because AJ is a huge Pats fan. Loves the Patriots.
I think you got to dress up like the Notre Dame leprechaun. That'd really be a statement on the airplane.
Look like the mascot. AJ's been to a bunch of Patriots Super Bowls. That's always a hot ticket for him. Grew up in Connecticut rooting for the Pats. Funny thing, you could dress up as Tom Brady's trainer and get kicked off the plane. 2-1. Although I think the trainer's now allowed to fly. That's the whole thing. Three balls and a strike. Peralta's on deck.
I think if I were Mike Leake for Players Weekend, instead of wearing the number 8, I'd have him tip it on its side, make it infinity.
Behind the screen for Herman. For your nickname, you'd have.
Just for the number, you know, the number and the nickname. Instead of having the 8 up and down like it is now on the back of his jersey, just tip it sideways. So it would look like infinity.
He wouldn't even need a name on the back of his shirt then. That's next level. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Where do you put that on the lineup card, though? Infinity.
You just have to keep writing it over and over and over.
Over and over.
We'll count 3 and 2.
Need a bigger scorebook.
Here we go.
It's close.
Just a bit outside. Well, some bad news at Dodger Stadium. Padres had a 2-0 lead. Here's the Red Menace, Justin Turner, down the line, and that's a fair ball. LA has come back to tie San Diego 2-2. They're in the 5th. Rockies are still trailing St. Louis 12-2. They're in the 8th inning at Coors Field. Check swing foul. Big series, D-backs and Dodgers, starts Thursday. We'll have all 4 games for you right here on Fox Sports Arizona. Don't miss a moment in what will almost certainly be, to this point, the biggest series of the season, with more to follow as we head into September. First, we play 3 at the Giants starting tomorrow night. Patrick Corbin on the mound for the D-backs against Chris Stratton. Buchholz and Bumgarner on Tuesday. Then it's Godley and Derek Rodriguez Wednesday before we're off to LA. AJ chases a changeup and strikes out.
Occasionally Leak will really turn that changeup over, get some almost screwball-like action back down and into a right-handed hitter. That time he left it out over the plate and down. AJ couldn't get a piece.
The freight train, an RBI single. He scored in the third. Bounce to second for D. Gordon. And it's a 1-2 fifth for Leak. D-backs lead Seattle 5-1. Machado. After the Padres had a 2-0 lead, LA tied it at 2. Machado's home run has made it 4-2 Dodgers. They're in the fifth against Robbie Erlin. D-backs beginning play today, tied with the Rockies for the NL West lead. Dodgers 2.5 back. Here at Chase Field, it's 5-1 Diamondbacks as Denard Span leads off the sixth against Zach Greinke. Span has singled and grounded out, 1 for 2. There's a bullet to Goldie. Backhand stop, and Greinke is there. America's first baseman.
Great diving stop to his backhand. Perfectly leads Greinke to the bag as usual. I'll tell you what always makes that an easier play for the first baseman is when the pitcher gets over there quickly. You can get him the ball, give him time to find the base. Well ahead of the runner that time. Nice play.
He'll put the shift on for Seager, who has knocked in the Seattle run, an RBI single in the first. He struck out his last time up. 3 defenders on the right side of the infield. There's a fastball for a strike, 0-1. Seager had the big 2-out 2-run double that tied last night's game in the 9th inning. And that double was his 50th extra base hit this year. He and Edgar Martinez are the only players in Mariners history with 7 straight seasons of at least 50 extra base hits. Seager's kind of quietly been an offensive force for Seattle for a while now. There's Edgar Martinez, the great DH, their hitting coach.
20 homers and 30 doubles. Safeco Field, that's a good extra base hit park. Big gaps, thick grass, that heavy marine layer.
Well, Seager is top 10 on their all-time list in RBIs, walks, runs scored. He's had a nice career, Corey Seager's older brother. He's a North Carolina Tar Heel. 3rd round pick by Seattle back in 09. He's won a Gold Glove at 3rd. He's been an all-star. There's a look for Moscam. Greinke so far has walked 2. He has struck out 5, given up just 3 hits. Think about Zach so far, Bob. One thing that's been so interesting is the manner in which he's getting these outs. He's got the 5 strikeouts. He's got 8 ground ball outs, a couple of fly outs, a pop up to the infield. He's using his defenders behind him.
And a lot of soft contact. Really only a couple of well struck balls so far in this game for the Mariners, which is a typical Zach Greinke outing.
Yeah.
Pitch to contact, soft contact. And that Cardinals, they're ahead 12-3 over the Rockies now in the bottom of the 8th. Matt Carpenter for the Cardinals with 4 doubles.
Boy, what a second half to the year he's had.
Oh yeah. Last player to have 4 doubles, David Peralta, last season in April against the Dodgers.
Those 2, Carpenter and Peralta, vying for National League Player of the Month honors, certainly. David's had an enormous month of August. Along the line, who can get there? And it's out of play.
It'll just go as a no play on a foul ball down the left field line, but clearly the shift cost the Diamondbacks right there. Eduardo Escobar had to run about a quarter of a mile to get over there into foul territory. Just couldn't quite catch up to it.
Boy, not just the doubles for Matt Carpenter. He's got 34 homers.
Yeah.
Shift is still on for Kyle Seager. Big hesitation from Greinke there, kind of a double clutch, and it's full 3-2.
See that little move right there? That's something Zach Greinke does. He puts the ball in his throwing hand. He'll adjust his cap with the ball in his hand.
Got the slow curve. Jay's out there in right. And then I assume he changes the grip in the glove.
Well, and then he actually bangs the baseball off the tip of the fingers of his glove. He does the same thing just about every delivery. He'll carry that ball around in his throwing hand. He'll adjust his cap with the ball in his throwing hand eventually here. Gets that change-up grip, adjusts his shirt, bangs on the tip of his glove a couple times. He didn't need to fix the hat that time.
Ben Gamel, the right fielder. Usually he'll do that when he's thinking, it seems, about a pitch, especially in a count like we just saw, 3-2 on Seager. That's when the computer really starts spinning in there. Fastball's up 1-1. There it is. 90 pitches, 60 strikes.
I mean, I think all pitchers have certain things that they do pre-pitch or post-pitch. You know, coming from San Diego on that last road trip and the Trevor Hoffman fiesta that we went through that weekend.
Right.
Trevor Hoffman, after every pitch, would pull his right sleeve back over his shoulder.
Goldie's got it on the backhander once again. Goldie to Greinke. That's how we started the inning. Bottom 6. D-backs lead at 5-1. The premier Mexican soccer team Xolos de Tijuana returns to Fox Sports Arizona Plus to take on Necaxa. Live soccer action returns Friday 7 o'clock on Fox Sports Arizona Plus. And for your channel listing, visit foxsportsarizona.com. Goldie leads off the 6th. His 30th home run his last time up, a 3-run shot off Mike Leake. Mike Leake part of a 5-run D-back third. Goldie's second consecutive 30 home run season and the 4th of his career.
Goldie's home run, the 30th of the year. He only saw 2 pitches. Pitch a little sinker out there on the outside corner. Tries to come back on the inside part of the plate with the same pitch, and it got waffled.
432 feet for number 30. Goldie closing out a huge month at the plate. He's batting .380 in August. Now with 30 home runs, 76 runs batted in, and you just wondered back in May if he'd even come close to these numbers, but he has been sensational ever since late May after the May malaise.
Yeah, May 22nd, he was hitting 198, slugging .355.
How about that, huh?
He's hit nearly .350 over his next 80 games.
.331 since the All-Star break.
.25 homers in his last 80 games. 46 extra base hits in his last 80 games.
Pop this one up. And D. Gordon takes it. 5 in a row set down by Mike Leake. Eduardo Escobar leads the major leagues with 44 doubles. He doubled in the 3rd. His second hit in the series. He's hit safely now in 8 of his last 9 games. That changeup is low, but called strike 1. Right on the border there. Escobar homered in last night's game. He's had the power stroke as of late. 4 home runs in his last dozen games with the D-backs. Batting 5th. Boy, that curveball had him all tied up in knots, and Leake gets his 6th strikeout.
Spend Labor Day inside air-conditioned Chase Field with family and friends on Monday, September 3rd. Lower level tickets are just $15, and the D-backs Padres first pitch that night is 5:10 p.m. Get tickets now at dbacks.com/labor.
Yeah, that's just a quick 2-game series against the Padres, and then the Atlanta Braves come in for 4 after that, leading the National League East. Span in foul ground, and they retired Descalso. 7 straight set down by Leake, but he trails at 5-1. leaders over the Seattle Mariners as we get set to close out this series and head off to San Francisco. What's next? Brought to you by CenturyLink. We start a 7-game road trip with 3 at AT&T Park. Patrick Corbin tomorrow night against Chris Stratton. And then Buchholz and Bumgarner Tuesday. Zach Godley, Derek Rodriguez Wednesday. All 3 night games. All 3 right here on Fox Sports Arizona. And it's off to LA for 4 at Dodger Stadium. Chris Herman, who has walked twice in 2 plate appearances, leads off the Seattle 7. D-backs with 3 defenders on the first base side of the infield.
Man, what a turnaround for Zach Greinke in this ball game. Gave up a run on 2 hits, had 3 base runners in the first inning. Since then, no runs, only 1 hit, 3 base runners in the next 6 innings.
Boy, he has gone to that curveball. I don't have numbers on this, but this might be the game in which he's used it more than any other this year. Seen it a whole bunch, really, right from the get-go here today. Zach now over 90 pitches in the 7th. 1-2 on Herm. There's a fastball.
Well, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the ball game. Zach Greinke does his changeup is not really an off-speed pitch. It's just a couple of miles an hour slower than his fastball. So that big slow curve gives him an off-speed pitch against a lineup like the Mariners. If you look at the advanced scouting and the video reports and determine that off-speed pitches are the way to go against this team, and the only off-speed pitch you have is a slow curve, then that's what you're going to throw.
Yeah, that was a changeup right there, and it was 88 miles an hour. That's harder than a Wade LeBlanc fastball.
Yeah.
Zach has always said he considers that changeup a movement pitch more than a velocity differential. Tries the fastball that time, misses low, and once again Herman has run it full 3-2. Bullpen will start to get busy with Greinke approaching 100 pitches. Brad Ziegler, the right-hander, and the sheriff, Andrew Chafin, the lefty. There's the slow curveball, and Greinke gets his 6th strikeout.
The day after every D-backs win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
6 in a row set down by Greinke. Here's D. Gordon 0 for 2. Mariners still have only 3 hits, and 2 of those came in the first inning. Mariners bullpen starts to get cranked up. They have got Cameron Maben in the on-deck circle, set to hit for Mike Leake. And Gordon just kind of chops that one out to left in front of Peralta for a 1-out single.
Zach Greinke right at the 100 pitch mark in this ball game. 46 fastballs, 30 for strikes, 19 curveballs, 11 for strikes. The changeup he's thrown 26 times, 18 of those in the strike zone, and the slider 9 total and 6 in the zone. Just checking his cheat sheet right there for the pinch hitter.
It will not be Maben. He goes back to the dugout. Instead, it's Ryan Healy, and there you see he's got some notes on what to throw Healy, who got the start at first base last night, was 0 for 3 with a walk. And now he and Mathis have come to an agreement on how to attack this guy with 1 out and 1 on.
I don't believe I've ever seen that before. We've seen outfielders dig in their back pocket for that cheat sheet. We've seen catchers wear it on their wristband, but I don't believe I've ever seen a pitcher carry a cheat sheet in his back pocket. But it's a way for Zach Greinke to refresh his memory when you bring a guy off the bench that maybe you didn't scout as much as the guys that were in the starting lineup. Just a quick refresher on how to pitch to Ryan Healy.
Healy, a good hitter, 244. He's got power with 23 home runs. Now a final at Colorado. The Rockies have lost. Cardinals beat them 12-3. So the D-backs for a moment a half game ahead of Colorado atop the NL West. If they can hang on and beat Seattle, that lead will be back up to 1 full game. Dodgers still lead the Padres 4-2. They're in the 6th. Curveball away, misses. 2-0. Well, you've got Haniger on deck, and they've barely been able to get him out this entire series, so you don't want to fall too far behind on Healy. Haniger doubled his last time up, off the wall in center. Out of play, 2-1. Greinke trying to get through 7. Joey Lovello has a right-hander and a left-hander warming up with a bullpen. Zach looking for his first win since July 27th. 0-3 so far in 4 starts this month. And is skied to center for AJ. You've got Gordon at first, and he will stay there. 2 outs. And here comes Haniger, the former Diamondback, who has had an enormous series. He's homered twice. He's doubled. He's got 5 hits. He has scored their only run here today. He's hit safely now in 8 straight games and 12 of his last 13. Gordon is the runner at first. 2 outs. Here's that slider. 0-1.
Zach shook off a fastball to get to that big slow curve and then thought better of it, stepped off the rubber and said, let's start over again. I'm not so sure he wanted to throw that curveball. Well, he's going to go back to it again. Nope, fastball in. Just a suggestion.
Spiked it in the dirt. 1-1 on Haniger. This is the most interesting part of watching not just Zach Greinke pitch, but watching these two work together. 1-1. Check swing on the slow curve, and it's 1-2. Good crowd here today. More than 37,000 with us. We've had tremendous fan support all weekend long for this series. D-backs fans showing up in droves to support this first place ball club when we need them the most. It's getting late. August 26th. And Haniger has another base hit. What a series he's had. He's aboard today for the 3rd time. Brings up Robinson Cano. Left-hand batter Andrew Chafin, the left-hand thrower, is ready, and here comes Torey Lovullo.
I think if I were Mitch Haniger, I'd play the 50-50 raffle.
Well, Zach Greinke will leave responsible for 2 base runners, 6 2/3. So far, he's given up just 1 run, 5 hits, 37,000 plus. We'll watch Greinke walk it off as we go to the bullpen. Back in just a moment from Chase Field. How about this hand? A bumpy start. Seattle put a run up in the first, and from that point on, he shut them down. Our Chaz Roberts, air conditioning and plumbing, cool plays of the game.
There's an old saying about the better pitchers in the game of baseball. You better get them early, because once they settle in, you're not going to get anything. And Zach Greinke illustrated that perfectly here today. One unearned run.
Yeah, that scored after Haniger reached on a Ketel Marte throwing error. Kyle Seager had the RBI single. 2 on, 2 out. Chafin versus Cano. Robbie Cano 0 for 3 today. Here is the sheriff, Andrew Chafin, on to try and get the final out of this 7th inning.
You see his numbers for the season: 61 ball games. The first batter he's faced in his appearances have reached base at a .356 clip. 60 plate appearances, 10 walks, and 12 hits.
Yeah, that's been a bit of a concern. Recall he came on to start the 8th inning in the game last night, and Seager hit a bullet to second base for an out. He's behind on Cano, 1-0. Gordon's at second, Haniger's at first. There's a fastball for a strike at 94. Cano, a .268 batter against left-hand pitching this year, including 1 home run. Good slider from the sheriff, and it's 1-2. Chafin trying to get us to the 7th inning stretch. Spikes a slider. Everybody stays put. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cano's hit safely in 7 straight games and 9 of 10 since he came back from his 80-game suspension after that failed drug test back in May. Tested positive for a banned substance, a diuretic that they often use as masking agents in urine tests, although Cano was adamant he did not take a performance enhancing drug, got something from a doctor. But he sat out half the season, cost him $12 million worth of salary. A suspension without pay. 2 on, 2 out, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Goldie's at first. We get to the home half of the 7th. 5-1 D-backs. Chafin will get a big third out to get us to the home house. And Ketel Marte will lead it off. MLB.TV now available at a lower price, $49.99. Lets you watch every out-of-market regular season game and get a free subscription to MLB At Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV and take advantage of this special offer. D-backs lead the Mariners 5-1. New pitcher for the Mariners, replacing Mike Leake. Throw in is Salias. He'll face Marte. Mathis in the pitcher spot, 7, 8, 9. Roeny Salias, 30-year-old left-hander who's been a pretty mostly dependable part of this bullpen. He's only worked 28 innings this year, former Boston Red Sox. Traded from the Red Sox to the Mariners back in April for a player to be named. Here's Ketel Marte, who will turn around and bat for the right-hand side against Elias. D-backs have out-hit Seattle 7-5. They lead at 5-1. Ketel Marte has lined out and grounded out. He's 0 for 2. D-backs bullpen getting set to counter. You've got some of the big boys coming up. Segura, Span, Seager, 3, 4, and 5 in the 8th. And so Archie Bradley starts to get it cranked up in the Sanderson Ford bullpen. Archie threw 13 pitches and working 1 inning in a ball game last night. Fouled away, 2-2. Jeff Mathis on deck, then the pitcher spot. 7, 8, 9 here in the Arizona 7th.
You know, the results haven't been what the Diamondbacks have been looking for this weekend against the Mariners, but a lot of guys with an opportunity to renew acquaintances. Ketel Marte has a lot of friends on that first base side. Chris Herman has a lot of friends on the third base side.
Just beyond the reach of Gordon into right center. A leadoff single for the former Mariner, Ketel Marte.
Anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more like today, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free crunchy beef tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Well, Jeff Mathis has been a hitter today, 2 for 2. A couple of singles. He scored a run. Steven Souza Jr. has come out in the on-deck circle. He would hit for Chafin. It's a nice right-hand bat to have on your bench to use against a left-hand reliever. Mathis singled as a pinch hitter in the 5th inning last night, so he's got 3 singles in his last 3 at bats. They'll keep an eye on Marte. Dave McKay coaching at first.
And we know Torrey doesn't like to push a lot of buttons during the course of a ball game as far as bunting or stealing or hitting and running, but this would appear to be one of those situations where he might take a chance. You got pretty good speed on at first base. You got a guy at the plate that handles the bat pretty well. Big hole on the right side of the field. And a 4-run lead in the ball game, and usually that's when you take a few more chances, when you have a comfortable lead.
Roenis Salias, 30-year-old left-hander from Cuba. Started out with Seattle back in 2014. He was a starter, made almost 30 starts for the Mariners that year. 2-2 on Mathis, 94. 20 starts in 2015, then was off to Boston. Now he's back in Seattle. Line right to Segura, off the glove.
Well, that's actually going to work out okay.
Marte's just stuck right on that bag.
Yeah, that was actually a mistake by the Mariners that time. I guess just kind of an odd play popped out of Gene Segura's glove when he threw across to Robinson Cano to get the out on Jeff Mathis at first. That eliminated any force play on Ketel Marte, so he could just stay at the base. Marte freezes on the line drive, heads back to first base. That ball is then dropped. Could have tried to turn a 6-4-3 on that play, but I guess I'm not sure how to play that if you're Robbie Cano over at first base. I'm pretty sure Robbie doesn't know how to play it.
And Souza will hit for Chafin. Steven Souza Jr., 243, 3 homers.
I just chalked that up to pretty good base running by Ketel Marte to realize that once Jeff Mathis was forced out at first base, he was entitled to stay at the base.
This is hit deep to center. Haniger's under that one. Dodgers continue to take advantage of the Padres. San Diego had a 2-0 lead in LA. Machado homer to make it 4-2. Now the Red Menace Justin Turner ran it again. It's now 6-2 Los Angeles. They're in the 6th. Rockies lost at home to the Cardinals 12-3. Here's John Jay. So the D-backs with that Rockies loss have a chance to get their National League West Division lead back to 1. Dodgers, if they hang on, would remain 2.5 back. Archie Bradley is ready for the 8th inning. The left-hander TJ McFarland starts to get loose as well.
Elias leaves one of those breaking balls over the inside part of the plate. Wouldn't surprise me a bit to see John Jay take it off that elbow guard and head on down to first base.
You know, it's amazing. He played 59 games with Kansas City this year. He was hit by pitches 3 times. He's played 59 games since his trade to the Diamondbacks. He's been hit 15 times in the same number of games. He's ahead 3-0.
You see the most hit by pitch since the 2010 season. You know, most hitters go to the plate and over the course of the at bat they'll watch pitches. Oh man, if he throws that one again, I'll be ready for it. I think John Jay does the same thing with pitches that might hit him. If he throws that breaking ball inside again, I'm going to let it clip me.
There's a fastball for a strike. Jay about a .250 hitter this year versus lefties. A.J. Pollock would be next. Bounce to Cano at first. So we'll head to the 8th inning. D-backs have a 5-1 lead. Gene Segura, Denard Span, Kyle Seager, 3, 4, and 5 coming up. Looks like it's time to bring in the beard. Middle of the order due up for the Mariners in the 8th inning. And here is Archie Bradley with a 5-1 lead. Don't forget, fans, September 2nd, brand new episode, Cup of Coffee with our special guest, Nick Ahmed, who should be headed for a Gold Glove this year. Don't miss Cup of Coffee, presented by First Watch Restaurants, the Daytime Cafe. Coming up Sunday, September 2nd, after the D-backs and Dodgers, only on Fox Sports Arizona. So here's Archie to face Segura, Span, and Seager, 3, 4, and 5. Archie worked the 7th inning in the ball game last night. Gave up 1 double. That was by Segura, who starts us off here. This is tapped to shortstop. Tough play for Marte. What a play. A backhander. His momentum carrying him toward the third base line. And he threw across his body to get Segura.
And really got on top that throw across his body. Some of his throws from shortstop are sidearm, have a lot of sinking action, but after the backhanded play right here, he grips and fires over the top. Got a lot on that throw.
And a perfect strike. Archie appreciative. Denard Span 1 for 3 with a single in the first. That bunt pulls Escobar in from third. 0-1. Diamondbacks 5 runs, 8 hits. Seattle 1 run, 5 hits. Mariners have left 7 base runners aboard tonight. Fastball misses, 1-1. Archie in his appearance last night, 3 outs on just 13 pitches. He had a couple of strikeouts. Descalso has it. 2 down. That brings up Kyle Seager. Seager has the only RBI for the Mariners today, a single in the first. Three infielders on the right-hand side against Seager. Starts him off with a curveball. 0-1. Two on the Mariners' third baseman, Archie Bradley, trying to make short work of Seattle in the 8th. D-backs a chance to claim the series finale, regain sole control of the NL West. Fastball missed. High fly ball, deep right center. AJ got it. Bottom 8 coming up. 5-1 Diamondbacks.
turn to Zach Greinke and Paul Goldschmidt to get you out of the doldrums, right?
No doubt. After the first inning, an unearned run there, Zach Greinke settled in really nice, using a lot of off-speed pitches, and got through 6 2/3 innings. Paul Goldschmidt, 30th home run, 3-runner. That's the story so far.
Hey, by the way, Steve and Bob, can you model this for me? Just
Let's see what I got here for you.
I just want to let you know I am taking part in the reindeer games on the flight over. That's from Todd's Garage, vintage 1980, the Miracle on Ice jersey. So I just don't want to get makeup on it. We'll see you right after the game on D-Backs Live, the post-game show. Thanks, Brandon.
I'm sure that Jack O'Callahan and Dave Silk had the same concerns with their team USA jerseys back in Lake Placid. Don't get makeup on it. Thank you, Todd. A.J. Pollock leads off the bottom of the 8th.
You mean Michael Ruzioni didn't wear eyeliner?
Well, he may have. I'm not sure. Maybe in the movie. That's a great sports movie.
Oh, that's
Miracle.
Outstanding.
Kurt Russell. A lot of good Boston accents in that movie. 1-2. This is out to Gamble, and he's got it in right. 1 out.
A variety of off speed that time by Elias. Big breaking ball. He catches the inside corner, misses with a second curveball. AJ had a pretty good rip at that fastball, and then lofts another curveball out to right field for the first out here in the bottom of the 8th. Our nationwide vision center's eye on the game.
Here's the freight train. An RBI single and a run scored in that 5-run third. That's been all the offense for the Diamondbacks today. 5 in the third against the Sun Devil Mike Leake. Duck and cover on the curveball up 2-0.
Good catch, David.
Almost. He almost let it fly. Should stay playable. Seager's over there. Here comes Goldie. Goldie has the game's big hit, his 30th home run, a 3-run shot in the third. Yoshihisa Hirano warming up in the Sanderson Ford bullpen. 0-2. D-backs would get back to 14 games over 500. A game ahead of Colorado in the NL West. Rockies lost at home to the Cardinals today. Up the middle, Segura makes a nice spinning play and throws him out. Gene Segura. We hit the ninth at Chase Field. 5-1 D-backs. Jody Jackson with you. The D-backs lead the Mariners 5-1, trying to salvage the series finale here and regain control of the National League West. And on to get the final 3 outs. The right-hander Yoshihisa Hirano, his 62nd appearance of the year. Yoshi worked 2/3 of an inning in the ball game last night through 22 pitches.
Be working through the bottom of the Mariners order. Ben Gamble, Chris Herman, D. Gordon, and then the pitcher spot.
And Gamble will lead it off. He's 0 for 3. Slick Nick Ahmed takes over at shortstop. And Ketel Marte replaces Daniel Descalso at second base. One and one on the Mariners right fielder. Gamble had a pinch hit double in Friday's opener, his only hit in the series. Base hit into center. Leadoff man aboard for Chris Herman, former Diamondback, who walked twice and struck out against Zach Greinke. Ahmed, the shortstop, now on the first base side of second. 3 infielders on the right hand side. Good splitter, 0-1. Not a save situation for Yoshi, but getting the final 3 outs in the ninth is certainly nothing new for him. Another splitter, and it's 0-2. Yoshihisa Hirano, 11 seasons in Japan's Pacific League, where he pitched for the Oryx Buffaloes. 143 saves in the last 5 years. D-backs brought him over here to work primarily in a setup role. Got a 2-year contract last December at the age of 34. And that one goes into center. Couple of singles open up the Seattle ninth, and this is starting to get interesting. Here's D. Gordon, who singled his last time up. Two on and no outs. What you really worry about is Gordon reaching here. And then you've got Nelson Cruz in the on deck circle ready to hit for the pitcher. He would be the tying run. And we know what kind of home run power he's got. Fastball misses, 2-0. That bullpen gets busy again. TJ McFarland was warming up earlier. Now he's joined by the closer, Brad Boxberger. Two and one. There's a fastball for a strike, and it's 2-2.
It jumps right back in the count and didn't throw it right down the middle of the plate to do it. Painted the inside corner with the 2-0 pitch, paints the outside corner with a 2-1 pitch.
Well, Yoshi's certainly familiar with these situations. Just last year, 29 saves in Japan. 2-2 on D. Gordon. And he spiked his splitter. Everybody moves up.
Yeah, really hung on to that one a little bit too long. Hits way out in front of home plate. Well, Jeff Mathis gets by the plate umpire, moving both runners into scoring position.
Wild pitch. And now it's full on Gordon with Cruz on deck. Left field, Peralta runs it down and drops it. Gamble will come in and score. Herman is in at third, and it's 5-2. the glove of Peralta in left.
Yeah, just taking a peek up to see what the runner at third base, Gamble, was doing right there. Rattled around the pocket of the glove and dropped to the ground out there in left field, pulling the Mariners 1 run closer.
And the dangerous Nelson Cruz will hit. Torey Lovullo out to the mound. Cruz will be the tying run at the plate with no outs in the ninth. Back after this. Singles and a wild pitch from Yoshi Hirano have suddenly made this a save situation for the Diamondbacks, who bring in their closer Brad Boxberger. Boxberger with the emojis on the back, blew the save last night, 26 pitches. Gave up that 2-out 2-run double to Kyle Seager in the ninth inning. That made it a 3-3 ball game before Seattle won it 4-3. And Boxberger is in the deep end of the pool right now. A run already in. Tying run at the plate, the dangerous Nelson Cruz, who has got 31 home runs this year to lead the Mariners. He singled twice and struck out twice last night after he sat out Friday's game. There's a changeup for a strike. Chris Herman is the runner at third. The speedy D. Gordon, who leads the American League in steals, is at first. Seattle today 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. They have left 7. Last night the Mariners 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position, but the one was that Kyle Seager 2-run double in the ninth off Boxberger. Change ups a strike, 1 and 2. Cruz singled off Boxberger in that ninth inning last night and was replaced by a pinch runner.
Well, it's obvious Brad Boxberger pitching very carefully to Nelson Cruz, respecting his power, but you don't want to put him on. He represents a tying run, and you've got the hottest hitter on the planet in the on deck circle.
Mitch Haniger, who has doubled and singled today. 2 and 2 on Nelly Cruz. Fastball too far off the corner, and it's full. Haniger's been a problem the entire series. 3-2 to Cruz. Missed upstairs, and they're loaded. And now they'll deal with Haniger, who reached on a throwing error by Ketel Marte and scored in the first. He doubled in the fifth and singled in the seventh. He's had an enormous series. 6 hits, including a couple of home runs. Romine will run for Cruz. Right to Escobar, who's got it. And Herman is just back to the bag in time. What a play by Eduardo Escobar. That could have been a disaster.
Just an absolute bullet, hit so hard he wasn't even sure he had it in the glove initially. Tries to win that foot race to the bag at third, but Chris Herman just does get his hand on the head of the foot of Eduardo Escobar.
That's the first out in the ninth. No challenge from Torrey. Base is still loaded, 1 out, and here's Robinson Cano. Cano today 0 for 4. Boxberger got him to ground out to first to lead off the ninth inning last night. Just under the feet of Herman at third. 0-1. Cano hitless today, a 7-game hit streak on the line. Herman is at third, Gordon's at second, and Romine running for Cruz at first.
That foul ball got stuck underneath some signage down the third baseline. Gabe Morales has to run out there and dig it out, give it to a lucky fan.
Change ups a strike, says Jeremy Rehak. Cano can't believe it. He's down 0-2. Foul ground. Escobar chases after it, and he can't quite get there.
Just not hit hard enough to carry all the way out to David Peralta. And once again, Eduardo Escobar with a long run to try to get to the spot.
Rockies have already lost. Cardinals beat them in Colorado 12-3. Dodgers lead the Padres 6-2. They're in the 8th in LA. 0-2 on Robbie Cano. Changeup is in the dirt. Boxberger 26 pitches in that ball game last night. Bases full of Mariners, 1 down. shortstop. Ahmed for one. And Goldie scoops it. They turn the double play. And Boxberger bounces back and saves a 5-2 D-backs win. Well, as Brad was saying last night, too many games to ride the roller coaster. Just got to keep a level head every day. Every day is a new day, and that was certainly the case for the D-backs closer here today.
That's one of the most important qualities a closer can have. Let yesterday go, come back today with a fresh slate. Brad Boxberger able to get it done with that ground ball double play to end this one.
And the D-backs are back to 14 over 500 and back in sole possession of the National League West lead. One game ahead of Colorado. Whew. Back after this.